All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and go to our third and final of our effects that we can apply to our photographs. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in a Frankenstein once again here. Left click and drag and bring him in here. You notice once again I have a artboard set up, and I'm going to bring my artwork in, my Frankenstein photograph, and left click and drag, and let's shrink him up to fit the artboard. There we are again. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before, and again, hopefully by now you guys have all gotten really good at this process. Hopefully you will be, because this is really super important to be able to get this down pat. So let's go ahead and try this. So I'm going to do right now is select him, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the image trace, and we're going to do low fidelity photo. And after we get done with the low fidelity photo, we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and break them apart, and then we'll go ahead and change them from 1 to 2, and then from 3 to 6, and 6 to 12. Oh, exciting watching that go. All right, so let's expand it. So we tell all the lines to see each other. Now we have as a vector image. It's no longer raster. And with this now, I'm going to go and shrink it up here. And so use a shift key and just drag it up, put it up inside there, about the size of a postage stamp there. Pretty good. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're going to start doing the same as we did before. So I've got one, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my Alt key and click and drag a copy of it, put it right next to it. Okay, and let's go there. Then I'll go ahead and grab another one and left click and drag. There's another one right next to that. All right, so now we've got 3. Let's make them 6. So I select all of them simultaneously by left clicking and dragging a rectangle around it. Hold the Alt key and then drag down and line up using my ruler to my automatic lineup tool there. Pretty good job of lining that stuff up for me. And right about there. It's good enough. And I'm going to go ahead and grab from 6 to 12. So I select all of them, hold the Alt key, and drag down. Hey, look at that. They all fit on the artboard this time. Yay, good for me. All right, but now I'm going to go ahead and adjust them though. So I click and drag a box around all of them and move them over to fit in the center of my artboard. There we go. It looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to dive into our final part here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Command or Control key. Go ahead and zoom in, and my left click and hold my space bar and go up to that one on the upper left-hand side once again. Now, this time with my photo, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go ahead and select my, got my black arrow there. I'm going to select my whole image there. And I'm going to go now over to the left-hand side of the screen here. And right here we have the variable width tool. We've used this before. We used this when we were doing the drawing the custom paintbrush to go ahead and make our feather and trace our bugs. But for this one, we look underneath it. There's a sub menu underneath there. If I left click and hold, I look at all these other tools I've got in here. Let's play with these. Now what these will do is these will allow you to take an image and will allow you to warp, twirl, pucker, bloat, scallop, crystallize, and wrinkle an image. So let's go and start with warp. Okay, now warp, and notice right away I've got this big old circle right here. So if I just click one time on this and just click real quick, right here on this one, and I'm kind of moving around, I left click and hold. You see how it warps and it pulls that image around? So I left click and drag it down, and then release. Look what it does. And click off to the side here and I can see it. Let's select them again. Now what happens if I take that tool, once I've got the warp tool selected, I double click on it, that it allows me to have this little pop-up menu, which allows me to sort of play with it a little bit. So if I want to change the height and width of that shape, so let's say I want to take it down to 50% of the size that it was. So 50% there. Let's take the height and the width 50% there. I can change angle, use a pressure pen if I wanted to. But let's just change that first and say, okay. And right there you can already see that it's smaller. So let's go ahead here with the head or the face here. I'm going to left click and just kind of drag that up a little bit. And then click off to the side. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? How let's just warp that face out of there. So that is going to be your warp tool, right? That is that warp tool. Let's go on to the next one. Left click and hold. And I'm going to select the next one here. That's my black arrow. And left click and drag and select this guy. And let's go ahead now. And if I left click and hold on this drop down menu, and I go down to the twirl tool. That's my next one. Now the twirl tool Watch what happens now. I'm going to go ahead and click, and it automatically will spin that. Let's take a look and spin off to the side. You take a look at that. Look what it did to that face. Isn't that great? But watch what happens here. I'm going to select it again. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click that tool, just like you can with all of these. And I'm going to change the size. So it's at 50% right now. Let me go down to like, oh, let's say 20%. And let's change the height down to 20%, so a nice even circle. And I'm going to say, okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here at the ear, and I'm going to hit the twirl. I'm going to drag out. 1, 2, 3. Click and twirl out. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Click and twirl out. Now let's go ahead and see what it looks at. It pulls that ear right out there. Kind of tweaks that all around. So you can kind of play with that a little bit. If I do one more time here, click on that twirl, and I go ahead and click on this and drag up. Click on this and drag up. Look at that. Now you notice that I didn't highlight everything. You don't have to highlight. You can just do it right from the image, and you can apply that. So I can twirl here, left click and twirl there. So you can pull that twirl out, and I can give him all kinds of, if I want to give him a funny little hair, I can do that and make him look like the craziest little alien character. So there you go. That's our twirl tool. So let's go ahead and go on to the next one here. And I'm going to, once again, I've got to select I can select the whole character if I want to, or I can just go ahead and go right into it and select a different tool. Let's go with the pucker tool this time. So I've got the pucker tool. So pucker tool, I'm going to go ahead and I've got it at like 20%. It's from last time. So I'm going to go ahead and left click, suck in the eye. Left click, suck in the eye. Look at that. His eyes have just disappeared. Let's click right there on his mouth. They're gone. Click, click. Look at that. Just changed it right away instantly. Let's go ahead and suck in his neck bolt. It's gone. Look at that. It just sucked everything in around it away. It pulled all the color and all the texture around it and pulled it right in and just crushed it right up. So that's that tool there, which again, the suck tool. We're going to bring things in. Let's double click it. Let's go large with it. Let's go say, 100%. 100 point. Let's do this one. 100 point. Say okay. Now it's huge. Watch this. 1, 2, and 3. Yes, you get a different look there. So that is the pucker tool. So let's go on to the next one here. Left click and drag. Let's go to the next one. And with this tool, let's go ahead and left click and let's go down to the bloat tool. Here we go, the bloat tool. Around his nose. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I just gave him a big old schnoz. Let's Command Z so we can see that one more time. Boop. Look at that. Gave him a big old schnoz. Isn't that wonderful? So I can Command Z that again. Let's take a look at the eyeball. Just one eyeball. Look at that. Isn't that fun? So you see, you can have a lot of fun with that one. So that's going to be your bloat tool. And yeah, you can change sizes just like we did before. So let's go down to the scallop tool now. And the scallop tool, I'm going to use my bar here to go to the center one here. Let's do the scallop. What are we going to do with Frank here on the scallop? It sucks literally everything in. You see that? It turns all these edges and it sucks everything in. Look at that. And it creates that scalloped edge. Look at his face now. Wow. What a beauty. All right, let's go ahead and move over to the left here. Over to the right. Let's pick another one. And we're going to go ahead and grab that. This time, the crystallize tool. Let's crystallize. Let's crystallize his head. So now we're making everything explode outward. Because before we were sucking things in, now we're exploding it out. Oh, now he's got a really funky hairdo. And the longer you hold it, the more effect it's going to have. I have to almost click off the side there, let that effect take it. Isn't that great? Oh my gosh. So I can click it very quickly, or I click it long and hold it, and it will keep expanding, expanding, expanding. So you'll have some fun with that one. Now let's go down to the next one down. And I'm going to click the next tool here, and we'll go down to the very bottom, which is the wrinkle tool. Let's wrinkle. So let's grab his eyeball. Wrinkle. Wrinkle. And drag down. Look at that. Wrinkle and drag down. You see how it gets that, almost looks like melting in the rain. Right? You call it wrinkle. I like to call it melting. Look at that. Beautiful, great way that melts down. So it's like his face is all melting. So I'd like you to go ahead and I'd like you to play with these different effects on here. we've quickly gone through all of these. They're a lot of fun, but once you've gone through them all one time, so let me go ahead and zoom out here with the control or command minus here. Get back to my black arrow here, minus out. So you can see the ones that I've done here. I've just had a load of fun with these. And that's just going through the ones that are there. What I'd like you to do with the last ones that are here, go ahead and try 2 or 3 different tools on each one, or play with one tool a little bit differently on each one. So that way you come up with some different effects, because really this is all about sandboxing, knowing what this is, knowing how to find them, and knowing some of the different effects that you can get from them. And these are different things that really will help you out when we're doing other projects and you need different kinds of quick textures or effects, that these filters, whether they be applied here with these different sort of brush style tools, or filters that you can apply to the overall whole image itself, there's a lot that can be offered to you when you're working on managing your images. So again, this will be the third and final of the Frank pages that you will go ahead and you will upload. So these will be the effect tools. So you'll save this and upload it as the effect tool. So the file, export as, and this will be Frank Effect Tools, Frank Effect Tools, right? And put your last name on there. In that case, I'll put King. That way I know whose mine is. And I'll go ahead and say use artboard and say export, and I'll put a white background so I can see it all. Say OK. And we're good to go. So that'll be the third and final. So you've got the 3 that we have done so far with this. So the first one was on importing and changing things from raster to vector. The second one was using the effects filter with the effects gallery. And the third one now is one where you were using the different effects tools that are available to you. All right, so have fun with this, and we'll see you in the discussion board.